We just had the most ridiculous day.
Some of the most exhilarating birding moments happen when not only is the bird you're searching for amazing, but also the location in which you are hoping to find it. In one of the most breathtaking places on Earth lives a species that was almost lost forever. This location happens to be the Grand Canyon, and the extremely rare bird that soars over its vast expanses is the California Condor. California condors actually went extinct in the wild when all of the remaining birds were captured in 1987 in hopes of breeding and reintroducing them. Fast forward to present day, and while still critically endangered, over 200 condors are now flying across the American Southwest and Baja California. With an absolutely incredible backdrop serving as the habitat for one of the rarest birds in the country, we dedicated our second day at the Grand Canyon to seeing one of these amazing birds in flight.
It's early, man. It's cold.
Really early.
It's cold, it's dry.
Hopefully we're here before the condors are even here. Since we had heard that the best time of the day to see condors was in the morning before 10 a.m., we arrived before sunrise to try and give ourselves the best chance to see one.
Hey everybody, day 2 at the Grand Canyon. We woke up really early to hopefully see the condors in flight, but we're going to walk around and see what else we can find. And a beautiful sunrise behind us as well.
That sounds like a mountain chickadee.
Yeah.
With some time to spend before the air got warm enough for soaring birds to fly, we searched the Grand Canyon Village to see which species were already awake and active. We turned our attention to a bird we had heard, but not yet gotten good looks at, the mountain chickadee. We traced the call to an area where many other species were out foraging. Eventually, we got eyes on one of these cute and cheery birds. The mountain chickadee can be identified by its gray back, wings, and tail, tan underside, white cheeks, black throat, and black cap with a white eyebrow stripe. These curious and entertaining birds can be found in the mountainous parts of the western United States and western Canada. Look for mountain chickadees in coniferous woods, where they feed on insects, spiders, seeds, and nuts. They have also been known to visit bird feeders during any time of the year. Got mountain chickadee finally. Some good looks at that one, even though the light was a little dim. Really cool to see one of those birds up close.
Finally some knockout views.
Yeah. Now it looks like the light is starting to come up, so we might want to look for the condors now. With the sun starting to get high enough for the sky to brighten, we hustled back to the edge of the canyon, hoping to catch the condors as soon as they took flight. As more light flooded the ground and trees, even more birds showed up, including Brewer's blackbirds, Woodhouse's scrub jays, and bush tits. All of a sudden we noticed a bird soaring over the canyon. It turned out to be a turkey vulture. Not the species we were looking for, but a good sign that it might be warm enough for condors to fly. Lots of stuff out soaring right now, mostly turkey vultures and then a couple of ravens, so hopefully this means that the condors will come out soon. Knowing that the condors could be out, we kept our eyes on the canyon, excitedly checking over anything gliding on the thermals.
The ravens are soaring, but no condors yet. Kind of thought if we came here early, they would just be out over the canyon, but there's a bunch of different places they could be, so they might be somewhere else. Gonna give it a little more time, see if they make an appearance.
We stayed put, believing we were at the place that would give us the best vantage point. As time went on, however, it started to dawn on us that what once seemed like a sure thing would be harder than we initially thought. What you thinking?
I thought it'd be easier than this, but there's a lot of different stretches of canyon, so if they're not at this part, they could be at another part. But I think it's still a little early. We got here at sunrise, and one of the rangers said he normally sees them at like 7 or 8, so it's about 7 right now. So hopefully we can catch them in like that window. We might walk kind of the ridge, and that might give us, some different views of different sections of the canyon. that hopefully they'll be at. Part of the difficulty of trying to find a condor is we have the ravens and the turkey vultures soaring, and it's really hard to tell how far away everything is. So these tiny little shapes, you're trying to tell how big it is, and then also you get the light reflecting. So sometimes look like there's white where there's not, and then you also have the shadow effect on the canyons as well. So it's been fairly difficult. I do kind of feel like if one was out here we would know just because of the sheer size, but without ever having really experienced too much of that, it's hard to say right now. But we're going to keep walking the trail, see what we can find.
We moved along the edge of the canyon, scanning the beautiful landscapes every time we reached a new lookout. Along the way, we found more mountain chickadees, as well as dark-eyed juncos, and an extremely beautiful bird that was a lifer for Derek.
Just got my lifer western tanager at the Grand Canyon. The grandest of all canyons. That's awesome. Wasn't really expecting to see that one.
Now where are the condors?
Out there somewhere.
While the morning slowly faded into the afternoon, it seemed less and less likely that we would be able to see a California condor on this day.
We have been scanning for a while. Haven't seen any condors. So I think we might go down and walk the Bright Angel Trail. That's going to take us down into the canyon itself. Then we'll have a little bit of a different vantage point. Maybe we'll be able to see one then.
Suddenly, we spotted a dark-colored bird slowly rising up from the canyon. It turned out to be a zone-tailed hawk. While not a condor, it was still an exciting find and a nice reward for our efforts.
Well, I would say the searching paid off.
Yeah, for sure. That was really cool. A nice zone-tailed hawk, which is a lifer for both of us.
Yeah.
It was just here 1 minute, gone the next too, so.
It was very raven-like in
I
appearance.
thought it was from the top, because I mean, it looked pretty much the same.
That zone-tailed hawk was incredible. At first I thought it was just a raven, but it looked a little bit different. So it always pays to check out every single bird you see. You never know what you might find.
Bird every bird.
Bird every bird.
We made our way to the Bright Angel Trail, a walking path that winds down into the canyon as far below as the Colorado River. This trail is not to be taken lightly, as the high altitude mixed with some of the grueling grades of the canyon make it dangerous if the necessary precautions aren't taken. We began our descent into the canyon, finding some of the same species we had seen above, including Woodhouse's scrub jays and plenty of turkey vultures. We also found a few new birds for the day, including a black-headed grosbeak, as well as a difficult-to-find warbler species, the Virginia's warbler. The canyon had a shocking number of these elusive birds, so we enjoyed getting the chance to actually see them in the open from time to time. Eventually, we noticed something flying far out in the distance that looked different than anything we had seen before.
I lost it.
I've got it.
Oh, yeah.
That's gotta be one. That is one. This was, in fact, the bird we had come to find, the California Condor. It never did turn around, and after watching it for a while as it flew away from our location, it disappeared.
Hey, we got one.
Just had one in flight. It was right here, moved farther, and then boop, right behind the canyon wall.
It did definitely seem bigger.
Oh yeah,
when
thing
we
had
first-
big
yeah.
flat wings. Really cool though to see one flying. I got one long video of it as it kind of meandered, so that was really neat. I was hoping it would turn around, but it never did.
Maybe it'll come back over this way.
Maybe. There's one though, we got one flying.
Condors do have about a 10-foot wingspan, so when you see one, it should appear to have very long wings. And it's estimated that there's about 200 in the population right now. One of the main concerns with the condors is lead poisoning. So if it eats a carcass that has like a lead bullet in it, it can get that poisoning. And so something that they've been trying to do is get hunters to use copper ammunition so that if something gets shot and killed and the hunters aren't able to retrieve it, that if a condor eats it, it's not going to get lead poisoning.
We made our way back up the Bright Angel Trail, seeing many of the same species we encountered on the way down. While we were elated to see a condor, we still wanted to explore more of the canyon, and perhaps even somehow find another one.
We did it.
Made it. Got our condor. After successfully navigating the trail, we moved east along the canyon, covering a lot of ground in the process. We spotted a few more species we hadn't seen yet for the day, including a few juniper titmice and a Townsend solitaire. We happened upon a coniferous forest where we added yellow-rumped warbler, Grace's warbler, and western bluebird to our list, before finally deciding to call it a day. Little did we know, however, that there would be a surprise waiting for us at the parking lot.
We just had the most ridiculous day.
We ended a spectacular day of birding with our second condor sighting, and getting an even better view than the one we saw earlier in the day.
That was just the most ridiculous thing ever. We searched for condors all day, got our one look, and then as we're about to leave, in the parking lot, one is circling above us.
Yeah, it was crazy. We ended up checking out some different habitat. So we were in an area that we weren't really planning on being in. And then there was a bird soaring way off in the distance that looked different. And it just happened to be a condor.
While both of these sightings were absolutely amazing, they weren't our first encounters with condors at the canyon. And on this day, we were particularly trying to see them in flight. The reason for this was because a day earlier, we had the experience of a lifetime with a California Condor. Rewind to the previous day, we were getting our first ever views of the Grand Canyon and scouting out the best possibilities to see condors. While at one of our planned spots to check out, we noticed a massive bird perched extremely close to a lookout studio.
There is a condor perched right down there over the Grand Canyon, and out of all the birds to see here, that's definitely the one we wanted the most. So this is unbelievable to be in this kind of space with this big drop behind me, and then one of the rarest birds in the US, I would say, just perched over there too.
We walked over to the studio and were treated to breathtaking views of this absolutely stunning bird.
We are currently looking at the largest land bird in North America. And the California Condor actually became extinct in the wild when they captured all the individuals that were left, which weren't many, and then bred them and introduced them again. So a lot of the ones we'll see out here will actually have a number. So this is number 23 that we're looking at right now. Angle's not great. We have to be a little creative with gear. But it's incredible to see one perched. I thought we might just have an opportunity to see one flying, but this is fantastic.
California condors are massive soaring birds that are very dark brown to black in color. They have white markings on their underside visible in flight, and a featherless pinkish-colored head. Once on the brink of extinction, California condors were reintroduced to California, Utah, Arizona, and Baja California, where they live in mountainous areas. These impressive birds feed on carrion, and will eat dead animals such as deer, pigs, cattle, and even marine mammals, such as whales, dolphins, and sea lions. It is widely believed that condors can smell rotting meat from great distances away, but this is actually untrue. Instead, they rely on their eyesight and look for other scavengers indicating the presence of a carcass. The diet of the California condor was indirectly responsible for their decline, as a major problem for them was lead poisoning caused by ingesting bullet fragments when feeding on carcasses. Other causes were hunting by humans, and accidental poisoning due to coyote control efforts. Another important factor to note is that California condors mature slowly, with a typical breeding age between 6 and 8 years old, and only laying one egg every 1 to 2 years. While it takes them a while to reach their breeding age, once paired, California condors mate for life. In 1987, there were only 27 California condors left. These birds were captured and brought into a breeding program in an attempt to save the species. The breeding program worked, in part due to close monitoring of all wild birds. Each bird is tagged with a corresponding number. This particular bird, with a tag number of 23, is listed as bird number 123, a male born all the way back on May 20th, 1995, in Los Angeles, California, and raised by hand. He was released 2 years later on May 26th, 1997, and has been flying wild ever since. We were elated to see one of these amazing birds at close range, especially one that was born so long ago and undoubtedly played a major role in the reintroduction effort.
Just had an unbelievable experience with a California Condor, number 23, and now we want to see them in flight. So we're going to try to come back here tomorrow and see if we can get some looks at these birds actually in the air.
Yeah, we were really surprised to see it today because we thought it was too late to really see one. Thought they'd kind of be hunkered down, but this one decided to hang out right in the open. So awesome experience. Hopefully we get to see those in flight tomorrow.
It was truly an honor and privilege to see these spectacular birds in such a magnificent place. Not only did we get to see a California condor at close range perched, but we also persevered a day later and saw them in flight as well. This was a birding trip that we will never forget, and we were glad to be able to take you along with us. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.